Hi, Afua. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
Well, I'm holding it down. I'm holding it down. We're trying our best. So now let's dive right into the conversation. It is Diddy's trial, highly anticipated trial. We're finally here, and you've been following this trial closely. What has stood out most so far from Cassie Ventura's testimony for you?
I mean, highly anticipated indeed, since the trial date was set. We're 4 days into the trial, and we have had some pretty stunning and shocking details in open court. I think really what shocked me the most, or really stuck with me, is when Cassie Ventura yesterday was talking about being aware of Sean Diddy Combs' capabilities, access to guns, and threats that he made. And she described an incident in a car after dinner at a restaurant in 2007 where he hit her on the side of her head and she fell to the floor in the Escalade. She was shocked. She didn't understand why he was so angry. And that's where she said she really became aware of his capabilities, his access to guns, the threats that he made. You know, she describes going to a party at Prince's house. She didn't tell Sean Combs that she was going because she thought he would be angry. She caught a glimpse of him and ran out as fast as she could because of that, and he came after her, and then he beat her up that night. And then, of course, when she talks about that rape that took place in 2018 as well, I think it's for me, it's the details, and for me, it's also the fact that she knew that had she spoken out at the time, what Combs was capable of, the access to guns, the threats, the power, that he could do anything to her. You know, I think that's what really sort of overhangs and is going to overshadow throughout this case, and that we'll probably hear from other people, other witnesses as well, that the threats of violence, but also the intimidation, the fact that he has access to guns, the things that he could do, was the reason why so many people kept quiet, because they feared for their lives.
Interesting. Now, let's looking at the conversation or the statements that Cassie made towards about Diddy. Some would say she was with him for 10 years, a relationship for 10 years, and she experienced all these things. So she saw all these things firsthand, from the freak offs to the harassments to the threats. And the question is, was it a case of Stockholm syndrome, or was it a case of she was scared for her life, that's why she couldn't leave the relationship at the time? What would you say?
Look, there's so much discourse around this, so many people saying, well, you know, if this was taking place, why didn't she leave? Everybody knows, and if you didn't know, this is the facts, that the most dangerous point of a relationship when a woman who is being subjected to domestic violence, the most dangerous point in the relationship is when she tries to leave. That's when a woman is most likely to be killed by her partner. So I would absolutely say that the threats of violence, the intimidation, the access to guns was the reason why she stayed and the reason why she kept silent.
Interesting. All right, so we all know this is a high-profile case. Can you describe the mood inside the courtroom during her most emotional moments? Because we know that there were people there. She was pregnant. She's heavily pregnant, coming to court to testify. What would you say was the mood in the courtroom at some of these her moments?
Absolutely right. 8 months pregnant and taking the stand, which is incredibly brave. I think it was quite shocking for a lot of people in court to hear and see the pictures of the freak-offs as well. It was silent in the court when those pictures were shown. You could hear a pin drop. I think people were very, very shocked. And people were shocked to hear the details coming out of her mouth, her talking about the things that she had gone through, the things that she had seen. So I think that the atmosphere in court was one of real shock, actually. We knew that that the details were going to be bad. I think we've discussed this, you know, over the past few months since we found out this was going to go to trial, excuse me, and I've always maintained that what we were going to find out in court, real life, was going to be worse than what we could imagine. And I think those details have been. So the atmosphere inside court has certainly been one of shock at hearing these details, shock at seeing this heavily pregnant woman sitting up there and talking about these terrible things that happened to her. But outside the courtroom as well, things have been quite tense. There's a lot of tension. You know, you've had reporters doing their hits against the backdrop of being sworn at, especially the female reporters being sworn at, being shouted abuse by P. Diddy supporters. There's a lot of tension outside this court. You've got, you know, two sides, if you will, coming together, each wanting to show their support, whether that's to Cassie Ventura and other victims who are going to be testifying. We will hear, this is only day 4, you know, we're going to be here for months. So those supporting the people that are going to be testifying against P. Diddy, and P. Diddy's fans who are very loyal as well. So that has led to tensions outside the court also.
All right. So looking at the case now, the case being built against Diddy, what exactly would you say the prosecution is building? What arguments are they putting against Diddy? Because looking from the reports we've been getting, Cassie has been talking about the domestic violence and all that, and how she was maltreated being with him. But what case is the prosecution building against Diddy that we know of right now?
Yeah, so in this trial, they're portraying him as an orchestrator of a long-running criminal enterprise that involves different things. So it's sex trafficking, coercion, violence, in use of threats of violence as well. So they are saying that, the prosecutors are saying that Combs led a network involving employees and associates who facilitated and concealed his crimes. So they enabled him, and those crimes included sex trafficking, forced labor, and kidnapping. Then there's the coerced sexual acts, saying that Combs organized these freak-offs where women were drugged, where they were coerced into sexual acts, and they were filmed without their consent. And then, after they were filmed, these recordings were used for blackmail. Then there's the physical abuse, and the key evidence in the physical abuse is that shocking tape that CNN obtained from 2016, where you see P. Diddy assaulting his girlfriend at the time, Cassie, in the hallway. And then you've got the use of threats of violence, and then testimonies saying or suggesting that Combs used threats, including potential harm to others and career sabotage, to control and silence his victims. Now, we have to say that P. Diddy has pled not guilty to all of these charges. His defense and his defense team have argued that the relationships and the activities that I've spoken about were consensual among the adults, and that the prosecution's case is based upon misinterpretation, misrepresentation of his lifestyle.
All right, so Afua, you made mention about this 2016 hotel footage that was put out there, and it's a strong evidence being used now in the case. But how significant is that video, given the fact that Cassie had received a $20 million settlement after that whole process? Do you think this video still holds huge significance in the case, overall case?
Well, there's kind of 2 points you've made there. So first, let's talk about the video. Now, the video is crucial evidence because it supports the prosecution's claim that physical abuse was used by P. Diddy against victims. And that is a hard piece of evidence. We can see it with our own eyes that he is using physical abuse against a victim. So that's a crucial piece of evidence. Now, when it comes to the settlement that Cassie Ventura received, which we believe was in the region of $20 million, because of the settlement she received, that's partly why this has come to trial in the first place. I mean, she's resolved it legally in the civil courts, but it doesn't prevent her from testifying in any criminal proceedings. And like I said, it was a catalyst for this federal investigation that she's talked about the settlement amount in court. She reiterated the allegations from her civil suit as well, as well as instances of rape, physical abuse, which we have the evidence of, and the drug-fueled sex acts as well. And like we said, she's emphasized that her decision to testify in this criminal part of the trial is because she wants to do the right thing and because she doesn't want to be silenced anymore. So we can kind of put the fact that she received a settlement to one side, but it's not something that's been hidden. And like I said, it was the catalyst for this federal case coming to court in the first place.
All right, so let's talk about his defense now, Diddy's defense legal team. What are they putting forward so far? Because you made mention about it earlier that they said everything that's been going on, or all the allegations against Diddy, they were consensual and they were agreed upon, those situations between himself and Cassie. They even said that the domestic violence claim that Cassie has said was also, there are instances where Cassie also physically assaulted Diddy, but they didn't get that on tape. So what do you think about this? What is the defense trying to put forward so far?
The defense is trying to claim that everything that happened, from the free costs, the physical violence, whatever, was consensual, and it was consensual between adults, and that this is a misinterpretation and a misrepresentation of his lifestyle. So they're trying to say, look, everything that happened was between consenting adults, and also you're trying to make me look bad, but actually I just engage in things that perhaps you wouldn't. I'm not sure how well that defense is going to stand up in court, but that is what they are going with.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Afua. Because of time, I've got to let you go. But definitely, as this unfolds, we'll be definitely having these conversations every time to stay updated on what's happening with the case. Thank you for your time, Afua. Thank you so much.